Please join me for a few moments of silence as we center ourselves and come together in the service. And now please remain seated as we sing our in-gathering hymn, which is number 123, and the words appear in your order of service. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. This is a community where curious seekers gather to explore spiritual, ethical, and social issues in a nurturing environment. Unitarian Universalism supports the freedom of conscience of each individual, as together we seek to be a force for good in the world. My name is Karen Rose Gredler, and on behalf of the entire congregation, I would like to extend a special welcome to any visitors who are with us this morning. We are a welcoming congregation, so whomever you are and wherever you may be on your life's journey, we celebrate your presence among us. Newcomers and others are encouraged to stay for our fellowship hour after the service and to visit the library, which is directly across from the middle doors of this auditorium. Bring your beverages and your questions. Members of our staff and lay ministry will be on hand to welcome you. You may also look for persons holding teal-colored stoneware coffee mugs. These are FUS members knowledgeable about our faith community who would welcome visiting with you. Experienced guides are frequently available after the service for a building tour of our entire campus. I am not sure whether there's one here today, but if there is, that person will materialize right over there in that corner of the front of the auditorium by the windows right after the service. If you would like to learn more about this sustainably designed edition or our National Landmark Meeting House across the parking lot, please go there and hope that someone shows up. Oh, I'm getting yeses, so there must be somebody. We welcome children to stay for the duration of the service. However, because it is difficult for some in attendance to hear in our lively acoustical environment, our child haven back in that corner and the commons outside the auditorium are excellent places to go if a child wants to move around, talk, jump up and down, whatever. And you can still see and hear the service well from those areas. I'd now like to acknowledge the people who help our services run smoothly. On sound, we have Mark Schultz. Hi, Mark. Ann Smiley is our lay minister for this service. Patty Whitty, hi Patty, is our greeter who met you upstairs. Ushering for us this service are Patricia Becker and Karen Jagger, and I believe our own Jean Sears is back making coffee. Plant care, the orchids, is done by Ann Smiley this week, and the gorgeous flowers are from March and Nick Schweitzer. Thank you all very much. Please note the announcements in the red floors. Insert to your order of service, where we see information about things coming up at FUS, things that are going on now, and tips about what you might want to look for. Again, welcome. We hope today's service will stimulate your mind, touch your heart, and stir your spirit.
Come into this house of peace. Come in bringing all of who you are. Rest and quiet your weak-worn spirit, for you are here to touch again eternal springs of hope and renewal. Calm your hurried pace. For this hour, let the cares, the fretfulness, the worry be set aside. Forgive yourself. You are so very worthy of moving on, of making new efforts, of trying again. know that you are not alone. There is strength and caring support for you here. You will find comfort if you but ask. Look around. You are part of a beloved community. You can make it what you will. Enter into this house of peace. And if you will rise now in body or spirit to join together in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. And before we join together in song, if you'll take a moment to turn and greet your neighbor. Please be seated. And I'd like to invite anyone who would like to come forward for our story to come on up. Come on. Hey, welcome. Hello, Henry. Hi. Hey, Winnie. Hi, Leo. You're 4.5 now? You're going to be 5 in October, aren't you? I can't believe you're going to be 5 already. I have a great story today that I'm going to tell you a little differently. What are these things? Do you know? What are these? Postcards. Our story today is about a little girl who, quite a long time ago, in a time called the Great Depression, she had to move to live with an uncle. And our whole story is told with her postcards back to her family in the country. And there's going to be pictures up there where you're going to get to see her. Did you see her up there? All right, our first one is from August 27th, 1935. Dear Uncle Jim, Grandma told us after supper that you want me to come to the city and live with you until things get better. Did she tell you that Papa has been out of work for a long time and no one asks Mama to make dresses anymore? We all cried, even Papa. But then Mama made us laugh with her stories about chasing her up trees when you were both little. Did you really do that? I'm small but strong, and I'll help you all I can. However, Grandma said to finish my schoolwork before I do anything else. Your niece, Lydia Grace Finch. So there's Lydia, and she's packing up and getting ready to go. So here she wrote him another one a couple days later, September 3rd. Dear Uncle Jim, I'm mailing this to you from the train station. I forgot to tell you in the last one 3 important things that I'm too shy to say to your face. 1, I know a lot about gardening, but nothing about baking. 2, I'm anxious to learn to bake, but is there any place to plant seeds? 3, I like to be called Lydia Grace, just like Grandma. Your niece, Lydia Grace Finch. So there they are at the train station. So here she's on the train, September 4th. Now she starts writing back to her family in the country to let them know what's happening. Dear Mama, I feel so pretty in your dress that you made for me. I hope you don't miss it too much. Dear Papa, I haven't forgotten what you said about recognizing Uncle Jim. Just look for Mama's face with a big nose and a mustache. I promise not to tell him. Does he have a sense of humor? And dear Grandma, thank you for the seeds. The train is rocking me to sleep, and every time I doze off, I dream of gardens. Love to all, Lydia Grace. September 5th, so the next day. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I'm so excited. There are window boxes here. They look as if they've been waiting for me. So now we'll both wait for spring. And Grandma, the sun shines down on the corner where I will live and work. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. Uncle Jim doesn't smile. What do you think of Uncle Jim? Can you see him up there? What do you think, Greta?
I like it, but I've read this book before. I got it out of the library.
Yeah?
And I know the real words.
You do? These are the real words. I copied them right out of the book. I promise. You love this book? I do too. I'm glad you're here to see this book. What do you guys think of Uncle Jim? Does he look like a happy, jolly sort of guy? No, what does he look like? Mad, grumpy, a mad, rude, grumpy sort of guy. Well, let's see what happens as what goes on here. December 25th. Does anybody know what December 25th is? What's December 25th? Christmas. Is there anything up there that lets you know it's Christmas time in the picture?
I see it.
What do you see, Henry?
I see a bell on the tree.
You see the Christmas tree on the table. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I adore the seed catalogs you sent for Christmas. And Grandma, thank you for all the bulbs. I hope you received the drawings. I wrote a long poem for Uncle Jim. He didn't smile, but I think he liked it. He read it aloud, then put it in his shirt pocket and patted it. Love to all, Lydia Grace. Now let's see, February 12th, 1936. Dearest Grandma, Thank you again for those bulbs you sent at Christmas. You should see them now. I really like Ed and Emma Beach, Uncle Jim's friends who work here. When I first arrived, Emma told me she'd show me how to knead bread if I would teach her the Latin names of all the flowers I know. Now, just half a year later, I'm kneading bread and she's speaking Latin. More good news, we have a store cat named Otis, who at this very moment is sleeping at the foot of my bed. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. Uncle Jim isn't smiling yet, but I'm hoping for a smile soon. March 5th. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I've discovered a secret place. You can't imagine how wonderful it is. No one else knows about it but Otis. I have great plans. Grandma Trudy is right there, isn't she? That is so cool. Yeah, if Grandma Trudy was my grandma, I would want to go sit with her too. I don't blame you. She is awesome. I have great plans. Thank you for all the letters. I'll try to write more, but I'm really busy planting all your seeds in cracked teacups and bent cake pans. And Grandma, you should smell the good dirt I'm bringing home from the vacant lot down the street. Love to all, Lydia Grace. April 27th. Dear Grandma, all the seeds and roots are sprouting. Did you see that? Did you see her place? There. Does that look like a secret, lovely, wonderful place to you? What do you see when you look at that place? Yeah. That's right. It's the roof of a building. It looks kind of trashy. It's not very lovely, is it? But Lydia Grace is seeing something in her mind. It's dirty, Owen. And there's Otis. That's Otis the cat. All the seeds and roots are sprouting. I can hear you saying, April showers bring May flowers. Emma and I are sprucing up the bakery, and I'm playing a great trick on Uncle Jim. He sees me reading my mail, planting seeds in my window boxes, going to school, doing my homework, sweeping the floor, but he never sees me working in my secret place. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I'm planning on a big smile from Uncle Jim in the near future. May 27th. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, you should have heard Emma laugh today when I opened your letter and dirt fell out on the sidewalk. Can you see her envelope up there? Thank you for all the baby plants. They survived the trip in the big envelope. More about Emma. She's going to help me with the secret place. Hooray! Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I saw Uncle Jim almost smile today. The store was full, well, almost full, of customers. June 27th. Dear Grandma, flowers are blooming all over the place. I'm also growing radishes, onions, and 3 kinds of lettuce in the window boxes. What do you think of it now? How does it look now? Nice, pretty. Some neighbors have brought containers for me to fill with flowers, and a few customers even gave me plants from their gardens this spring. They don't call me Lydia Grace anymore. They call me the gardener. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I'm sure Uncle Jim is going to smile soon. I'm almost ready to show him the secret place. July 4th, 1936. So that's tomorrow, but how many years ago? 80, right? Okay, thank you. I'm looking out at the grown-ups like 80. Dearest Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I am bursting with happiness. The entire city seems so beautiful, especially this morning. The secret place is ready for Uncle Jim. At noon, the store will close for the holiday, and then we'll bring him up to the roof. I've tried to remember everything you ever taught me about beauty. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I can already imagine Uncle Jim's smile. All right, here, do you see the signs? This way, you've arrived. Please go up. July 11th. What do you think of it now? Lovely. Isn't it? I know, but what about that Uncle Jim? He still looks mad and grumpy, doesn't he? Maybe his cheek muscles don't go up. Maybe they only go down. Do your cheek muscles go up and down? Oh, you're good. You got it. Yours only go up. Awesome, Henry. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, my heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure the customers can hear it downstairs. At lunch today, Uncle Jim put the close sign on the door and told Ed and Emma and me to go upstairs and wait. He appeared with the most amazing cake I've ever seen, covered in flowers. I truly believe that cake equals 1,000 smiles. And then he took your letter out of his pocket with the news of Papa's job. I'm coming home. Love to all and see you soon, Lydia Grace. P.S. Grandma, I've given all of my plants to Emma. I can't wait to help you in your garden again. We gardeners never retire. So do you see? And then look at. So Lydia Grace went to a pretty cold and maybe grumpy kind of place. And how did she make it better? It's the eyebrows. It's the eyebrows making him look grumpy? Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Well, and now he's sad because she's leaving. So how did she make the place better? Flowers. She found beauty in a pretty unexpected place, and she brought a lot of beauty and happiness into their lives in a pretty sad time. And we can all do that, right? We can all find the beauty and the happiness. So you know what we're going to do? We are going to stand as we are able. We are going to sing our next hymn, number 338, I want to say. And you all get to go and have some fun in summer fun. Please be seated. Our first reading from Terry Hershey. In the latter years of her life, in the backyard of her home in northern Florida, my grandmother had a porch swing. She liked to sit and swing and hum old church hymns, such as Rock of Ages, Cleft for Me. I can still see her there wearing a white scarf over her head, a concession to chemotherapy's unrelenting march. When, as a young adult, I visited her, she would always ask me to sit with her on the swing for a spell. She would pat my leg and call me darlin'. As long as my grandmother lived, and in spite of her pain, there was always a place for me on the swing. If I were asked to explain grace, I would paint the picture of my grandmother's swing. There, I never had to deliberate or explain or worry, regardless of the weight I carried. The porch swing, my grandmother's presence, bestowed grace without conditions. And I am here today because of that porch swing. I am here today because of a sanctuary. Everyone has a sanctuary, if only in the mind. Even if we can't say what it is, we know of its power. It is a place where we feel grounded, unhurried, and renewed. We go there whenever we can, which never seems often enough. A sanctuary is a place that restores us, replenishes us, nourishes us. In this renewal, we are reminded once again of what is really important. We are wired to need this kind of grounding. Yes, I believe it's in our emotional DNA. So you would think creating sanctuary would be at the top of our priorities. But there's the sticky wicket. We end up making choices with our time and with our days that are detrimental to our emotional and spiritual well-being. If I had my druthers, I would put my pen down. Yes, I still write with a pen. And invite you to take a walk with me. We're not going far. Off to the side of my garden and tucked under a maple tree is a swing. It's for thinking and sitting for a spell. I can tell the weeks when I do not get my recommended dose of sanctuary, or in my case, garden time. And I can tell when I do take my sanctuary time because it restores me. It is a dose of grace sent straight to the heart. And this second one from Wendell Berry. If we will have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place, renewing, enriching it, if we will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of earth or heaven, then a long time after we are gone, the lives our lives prepare will live here. Their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides, fields and gardens rich in the windows. The river will run clear as we will never know it, and over it, bird song like a canopy. On the levels of the hills will be green meadows, stock bells in noon shade, on the steeps where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest. An old forest will stand, its rich leaves falling, drifting onto its roots. The veins of forgotten springs will have opened. Families will be singing in the fields. In their voices, they will hear a music rising out of the ground. They will take nothing that they cannot return. Whatever the grief at parting, memory native to this valley will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, song into sacrament. The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds, will be health and wisdom and indwelling light. This is no heavenly dream. In its hardship lies our possibility. Thank you, Joe. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethoughts of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Come into the presence of stillness. Rest for a time in the grace of the world. Come into the peace of wild things, things which are stronger than fear, mightier than despair. Now, I don't know about you, but recently despair has been mighty within me. I have called on these words from Wendell Berry many times, especially in those dark hours of night when the despair lying deep within me rears up in mind and body, and I'm overcome with fear for this world, fear for our lives, the lives of our children, the lives of children, strangers in strange lands far from here, who live with a terror that is unknown to me. And I wrestle with how we live in a world so bruised and so hurting, and not give in, give over, give up in the face of pain, the reality of despair. And it is summer. It is time for careless evenings counting fireflies, sipping lemonade, and swinging in hammocks. It is time for sparklers and soccer games, lazy afternoons and long weekend hikes, barbecues and family vacations. Summertime, when the living is easy. Summertime, when we step out of the daily routine, travel to places near and far, take a break from the worries of the world and the worries of our lives, and awaken once again to the beauty of life. Lila Crawford, writing from Barrington, New Jersey, in the Sun magazine, gives us this memory of summer. My mother's second job as a family therapist kept her away from home at dinner time. My siblings and I would make boxed macaroni and cheese and watch TV while her work line's answering machine picked up again and again, recording for her all of those voices. Once every summer, though, we would pack up and leave the house for a vacation spot within driving distance, somewhere not too expensive. To start, Mom would take us to the Denny's in town for breakfast. We'd drink 2 small glasses of chocolate milk and eat short stacks of pancakes and sides of extra crispy bacon and cram our pockets with jelly packets, which made great snacks in the hotel room. Then we'd get back in the car with our Walkmans and Beverly Cleary novels, and we'd go north to Mystic, Connecticut, or Block Island, Rhode Island, or Boston, or south to Gettysburg, or Baltimore, or Washington, D.C., using paper maps to find our route. Once we'd arrive, we would stay at a Howard Johnson's and swim in the pool and play War and Uno on top of our double beds. We would request more towels and soap from the front desk and make endless trips to buy chips and candy from the vending machines. We would sweat our way through walking tours and pretend that we were reading those historical markers. We'd smile for the 35-millimeter camera, and my sisters and I would fight over who got to carry it like a bracelet on her wrist. At night, there would be salad bars with croutons. On the ride home, we would fall asleep, the batteries in our Walkmans dead or dying, our books finished or splayed out on a towel to dry from a spill, our wrists and ankles covered in friendship bracelets. I would know we were home by the dip at the base of the driveway, and then that long moment of stillness before Mom pulled the key from the ignition, and we all stretched and gathered our dirty laundry in duffel bags and carried them into the house and went our separate ways to the bathroom, the couch, the fridge, the answering machine. But there in that driveway, a sibling's arm smashed into mine, warm but not too warm, my little brother always asleep with his mouth hanging open. My sisters weren't talking or arguing, and the blisters from my sandals had turned to calluses and didn't hurt anymore, and I wasn't even that hungry. For just that moment, before life returned and we went our separate ways, life was good, life was perfect, and we were all renewed. Renewal. It's the key to the process of life and is deeply embedded within us. Goethe once wrote that we must always change, renew, rejuvenate ourselves, otherwise we harden. We see it in the cycle of the plants, the cycles of the seasons, in procreation as one generation gives birth to the next. We see it in each night's sleep, as we are renewed physically and psychologically to prepare ourselves to meet a new day. We must always change, renew, rejuvenate ourselves. Otherwise, we harden. This is a worry I carry this summer. Orlando, Istanbul, here at home. The sadness, the violence, the cruelty. How do we live within this? How do we live aware of deep suffering and not lose ourselves to it, not harden under its weight? What is it that you want renewed within you? For me, I know I need a renewal of love, courage, kindness, understanding, curiosity, patience, and all else that has been depleted in the face of pain. The possibility of renewal is real, but it must be experienced to be truly believed. The French-Algerian philosopher and writer Albert Camus experienced just this. He wrote, "In the depth of winter, I finally learned that there was in me an invincible summer." This sentence comes from his essay, Return to Tipasa. At the age of 40, Camus returned to the rain-drenched city of Algiers in December. He was trying to experience again the beauty of his homeland. But there was more. In a real sense, the Holocaust, World War II, the challenges of rebuilding Europe, these were all a devastating experience. He was trapped in profound despair, an existential condition from which he felt there was no escape. During a brief reprieve from the rain, he visited Tipasa, which is located on the Mediterranean coast 50 miles from Algiers. Camus was last there when he was 20 years old. He explored the ruins and discovered a safe harbor, a sanctuary, an utterly unexpected inner invincible summer. In the middle of ruin, in the middle of despair, surrounded by a world of pain and turmoil, he experienced a renewal of possibility and hope. It was life-affirming, it was heart-awakening, and life-changing. Camus reminds us of the possibility of an inward reality, the dawn that arose in him with its power to awaken him as if from a deep sleep. Unitarian Universalist Association Peter Morales, he's our president, once said that we UUs claim to have a lot of theological diversity. Yet every UU I have ever known, whether that person is a humanist, theist, pagan, Christian, Buddhist, or those who refuse all labels, all of them share a core conviction. We all believe that things do not have to be the way they are. We refuse to accept that inequality, hatred, environmental destruction, racism, refuse to accept that these are an inevitable part of the human condition. We believe that we can make things better, especially when we act together. We believe this because we have experienced life's possibilities. We have experienced love, beauty, joy, friendship, a peace that transcends our understanding. We have all had some variety of spiritual experience. We need to remember, when we witness brutality, injustice, the craziness of our politics, the heartless human exploitation by the economically powerful, and the wanton devastation of our natural world, when we find ourselves becoming bitter, we need to remind ourselves of our most treasured experiences. And actually, we need to do more than remember. We need to experience life's gifts and possibilities once again. Renewing contact with what is most precious in life is really a spiritual practice. It is an essential practice. If we do not feed our spirits, they will wither. Even the good deeds we strive to do will become acts of anger and joyless obligation rather than efforts to share and to heal. We all need to ask ourselves, what does my spirit need right now? Perhaps it is quiet time in nature, maybe a visit to a museum, some time in the garden, a concert, a walk with an old friend. The possibilities are endless. How about creating something? Play some music, sing in a chorus, paint, sculpt, knit, quilt, sew, cook up something new and special, play with a child. Now and then we all need to visit the world we are trying to create. Perhaps for you it is standing on the shore with the waves beating out their rhythmic crash and the water rushing over your feet. Maybe it is the stars at night, somewhere beyond the bounds of the city lights, or the stunning colors of the southwestern desert, or the unfolding green or yellow or pink in your own garden. My colleague Kendall Gibbons tells us, we humans have an immense capacity for good, and we have an immense capacity for cruelty and misery. Perhaps the most essential tenet of liberal religion is that each one of us must decide for ourselves how we will respond to the breathtaking beauty that surrounds us. How do you become the person who rises intuitively to the demands of the good, who lives in the heaven of the present, who is fed by the beauty of creation? It is through discovering our own invincible summer. By building our own inner reserves of strength within, we can then go forth to face the world without. At those times when the world is too much with you, and its busyness and noise and strife overwhelm you, seek renewal. Take a moment and simply stop. Stop striving, stop thinking, stop doing. Instead, attend to the beating of your own heart and the rise and fall of your breath. Become still. Allow yourself to rest. In that moment, there's nothing you need to fix, no problem you need to solve. Direct that energy toward healing yourself, toward resting in peace, allowing the quiet to permeate your being, radiating through you and into the world. I will admit that there is a part of me that feels guilty and self-indulgent when I do things that I enjoy and feed my spirit. There are always reflections to write, people to call, meetings to attend, emails to answer, projects to move forward, causes to champion, connections to make, yet deep down, I know better. Just as practices such as prayer and meditation give us clarity and strength to re-engage with the world, so too do other practices that get us in touch with what is most precious. And so I urge you on this summer's day to make some space to reflect on what your spirit needs right now. Deep down, you know. We all do. Our deepest longings will guide us. Make space for beauty and silence and play. Let your spirit soar. For when our spirits are strong and reconnected, our work for compassion and justice has enduring power. When our spirits are renewed, we can face the pain without turning to despair, and we truly can be blessings to one another and to the world. And I now invite you into the giving and receiving of the morning's offering. Our summer offerings go toward the continued work of this community, and we thank you for your generosity. Each week we gather, a community with joys and sorrows written on our hearts. We gather to share our stories, lessen our burdens, and hold up our gladness. This week we hold in our hearts Lorna Aronson, whose brother Ray Banks died on Father's Day of complications from Agent Orange-related Parkinson's. She says, may he rest in peace. We're also thinking of Jeanette Wheat, whose husband Pete Kruger passed away on Thursday evening. And so we are holding Jeanette and their family in our hearts. We are also thinking of Elie Wiesel, who passed away yesterday. We're holding him in our hearts and also the memory of all for whom he gave a voice. And all those in our community and around the world who experience violence in their lives. May they find support and nurture in their healing. Spirit of life who draws us together in a web of holy relationship, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all of our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. Blessed be. And if you will rise now in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 6. As we leave this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more things than we can do. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not, and be at peace with what we can do and can be. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters least from that which matters most of all. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.